On this episode, we're going to install a 12-volt accessory outlet into your case. It's basically the same thing that you would use as a cigarette lighter in your car, but now you're going to be able to charge your cell phone and use any other accessories off your case. Things you're going to need are, of course, the accessory outlet. You can buy this at Radio Shack. It's catalog number 270-1556. I'm going to use an optional rocker switch. This is catalog number 275-731. A soldering iron and solder. I used a multi-tool as my wire cutter and strippers, a rotary tool, a spare male Molex connector, a multimeter, and some heat shrink. Process is going to go something like this. First, we have to cut the holes for both the accessory outlet and the rocker switch and go ahead and mount them. After that, we're going to wire the rocker switch in line with the hot line of the accessory outlet. We're going to connect the Molex to the switch. We have to test everything for continuity. If everything checks out, we're going to go ahead and hot wire a power supply unit and check the whole thing with that. And assuming all of that works out, we're going to go ahead and install it. So let's get down to it. I'm going to install everything onto a 5 1/4 panel, and I've laid out where my holes are going to be. Just do this per dimensions on the packages, and from here we can go ahead and cut everything out. So you get your rotary tool. I'm using a drill bit just to cut everything out. Alright, now that we've got the holes all cut out, we can go ahead and drop in our rocker switch and our outlet. And these just pop right in. Just slide them in the hole. Make sure you leave a little tab. And when you hear that clip, you know it's seated. Do the same thing for the rocker switch. Alright, now that we've got the rocker switch and the outlet seated and the leads connected back to the switch, I'm going to go ahead and prep the Molex connector. Now on these Molexes, the yellow line is the 12-volt hot line, so that's what we need for this particular application. So, coming off the back of this male end, I'm going to go ahead and trim the 5-volt lead and ground off, like so. And then I need these wires, so I'm going to cut this female end off over here. Like that. Separate them. There we go. All we have to do now is strip them down and get them ready for soldering. Alright, so I've done all my wiring, and just, make sure you stick to the directions on the back of the package for the switch. I'm just finishing it up. I've already done my load and my hot wire. They've been soldered and heat shrunk to the back of the switch. I'm just going to finish up the ground right here. And just give it a little solder. Make sure you have a good connection. Alright, now that we're all soldered up and tied down, I'm going to go ahead and heat shrink it with this lighter here. Just to make sure our connections are good and snug. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and check the continuity of our wires. And assuming everything checks out like it did here, we'll go on and test the whole thing with a live power feed with a jump-started power supply. Alright, everything's wired up and cooled off, so we're going to go ahead and test it out. And I'm going to go ahead and plug in my Molex connectors here. Now, if you ever have to do any power supply testing without a motherboard, you can jump start it by jumping pin 14 and pin 17 on a 20-pin ATX power connector. I've already got that set up over here. So, jump it. Power's running. Now let's see if we've got power on the switch. There we go. Red means go in this case. Final step, installation, and actually plug in an accessory. Alright, now that we've got everything installed back in the case, power's running, let's really give it a test and plug in an accessory. Turn the power on. I've got a red light. There it is. Phone's charging. So, now that my dead phone's charging, I think I'll log on and play with the Hack 5 light.